Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the new IRC podcast. This is me, Blacksheep. We're doing a live race review today, and hopefully, we refined our podcast program, I guess, slightly better. So we'll hope to continue doing race reviews on a live basis. I'm joined once again by chief legends of the Indian racing community. I've got MaranelloBaby, BabaG, and we also have Anuj from F1 memes. Sorry, F1ndia.memes. So firstly, hello everyone, and welcome.
Hello.
Hello, guys.
Thank you. Hello. Hello, everyone.
Okay, so I think what we decided was we were going to go through the driver order essentially from the back. But just before that, personally, I just want to hear in a very quick sort of sentence, a quick summary of what your takeaways from the race yesterday were. I'm sure there's a lot to say. Let's start with BabaG.
Yeah, yesterday's race was quite boring and uneventful. Like for major part, we all starting and the end quite exciting. And yeah, watching Mercedes win on three tires really did dampen everybody's spirits. But yeah, it's kind of fine.
Great, nice. Okay, let's move on to you, Anuj.
Yeah, I think pretty much the same. It was a very uneventful race. So for like 50 laps, I guess, and then the Bottas that he punctured his tires, and the race started to pick up some entertainment, and then Hamilton, and then the most high BP moment of the race was when they were showing an onboard of Bottas with a punctured tire, and the commentators were like, "Oh, it's Hamilton. Hamilton again has got a puncture," and everyone was like, "Damn, this is the race we wanted." And then they go like, "Oh no, it's Bottas."
Yeah,
That was a disappointment.
Yeah, I have a theory about that. I think Mufti did that on purpose because he's British, so that Red Bull would have actually pitted Verstappen, thinking that he would pass both Hamilton and Bottas on track. So
my
by
God.
Crofty pulling a full bluffing the entire Paddock crew, it won Hamilton the race. So
You
yeah,
do realize that he does not have any control over
I'm just
on-screen graphics.
I'm just messing around.
I know. Okay. Okay. So I guess we're all aligned in our summary in saying that it was pretty much a uneventful race up until I guess lap 50 or so, and then it just went
It was
haywire after that.
incredibly surprising for me because I did not expect to see the Mercedes just pull away with the race in that manner.
I thought that was quite given. Given them being about a second over Red Bull in qualifying.
Yeah, of course, Mercy was going to run away with it. It was not really in a competition. It was a slaughter.
I guess the surprise was the hards exploding though. Like they said 40 laps, but Pirelli is always not completely right with the estimation. So it was quite
But I think they put on the tires 10 laps early, so maybe Pirelli was right because of the safety car, everyone pitted early, like 10 laps
No,
earlier.
the second safety car was what, lap 11 or 12 or something?
12 to 15. I don't remember correctly.
Yeah, I think it was 12 to 15. So it was still less than 40 laps on the hards.
Yeah.
Plus the guys in the front, I think the two Mercedes and Verstappen and Leclerc, maybe, I'm not sure, they also pitted a lap later compared to the rest of the field, right? Under safety car.
And this is supposed to be the harder C, whatever compound they call it. So the next week we'll have even softer compounds. So I don't know. The surprise was the hards exploding actually, but it worked into our favor in the entertainment value.
Yeah, at least some entertainment in the last.
Okay, great. Let's move along to the format that we agreed on. Just going through the field, through the drivers. I think we have to start with Nico Hülkenberg. Officially, DNS did not start.
Yeah.
Will he ever get a break?
Yeah, roller coaster ride for him past 3-4 days.
Everyone on the social media like legit jinxed him. Everyone was expecting a podium or something, and poor guy didn't even start.
I think deep within everybody who was looking forward to the race, they sort of knew that the Mercedes team will go away with the win anyway, and so the only thing keeping everyone's interest was let's see where Hülkenberg finishes.
Agreed.
Yeah, completely. I think It's a shame. This guy is. I mean, I saw a clip from the practice session where he broke down the strengths and weaknesses of the car. I don't know if you gentlemen got that, but the his understanding of an F1 car is very detailed, and I think he would be an asset to any Formula One team, especially one who have the recent investment and the engineering talent of Racing Point. So it's pretty not to see him on the grid, but hopefully we see him next weekend at the 70th anniversary.
Yeah, like you need to understand how much underrated he is because he came, I think, Friday morning. He came to the track and everything, and he was right up to the pace. I think in the practice sessions also he was less than a second behind Stroll. So that's pretty impressive. Even after
Yeah,
being
I think in FP1 he went from half a second behind, and he still stayed half a second slower than Lance in FP2. But I think by FP3 they were both matching. There was hardly anything between them.
yeah, I think
That muted.
FP3 he was 2 tenths down on Stroll, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was round about 1/10 or so, between 1 and 2 tenths. But I have a slightly alternative theory on that, which is that more telling of Hulkenberg's talent or Lance's pace himself?
No,
Certainly
I think
Hulkenberg's talent. I'm sorry for interjecting here. Certainly Hulkenberg's talent. Lance has been brilliant this season. It's I'm one of the few people who believes he should be in Formula One. Maybe not on pace, but there's no denying it was Stroll's investment that have brought Racing Point to where they are. And that is Formula One. It's always been Formula One. No one, you don't hear people, forgive my language, but bitching about Niki Lauda uh, after he bought his way into Formula One. And Lance has actually been going toe to toe with Perez on more than one occasion. So he certainly is quick enough, and Hulkenberg certainly proved that he is also still valid. He hasn't lost any of his touch.
I'll have to disagree with that. I mean, we've only had 4 races, and 2 of them, I can say he was completely off the pace. I mean, I think it was the second race in Austria, the Styrian Grand Prix, where Perez came through from, I think, 17 or something, down up to P5, and Lance was just stuck where he was. I mean, he did quite well in Hungary, but then again, Racing Point you would expect at Silverstone to do much better than end up P9 or where he finished. He was hardly able to get any moves. Gasly was able to overtake him at one point.
Yeah.
Wasn't Lance the person who didn't go past Q3 last year most times, other than the Williams or something? His qualifying
Correct.
was awful, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you think happened with Nico's qualifying on Saturday? Anybody?
Yeah,
I
I
think
don't
he was
know.
off pace for the quali.
sorry, go ahead.
I think he was just off pace for the quali. Nothing else.
All right.
Yeah, in quali you're just gripped into the 100%, but in the race you just need to
Yep.
hit the right apexes. But coming just one last point before we close the Hulkenberg discussion. I think Lance Stroll is certainly not as good as Sergio Perez. That is not what I'm saying, Blacksheep. I rate Sergio Perez extremely highly. I think top 6 drivers, top 5 or 6 drivers on the grid. Um, so there's no surprise he's beating Lance Stroll, but considering that Lance Stroll has probably equaled him or beaten him in terms of points, not including the race that this one has missed, that Perez has missed, but Lance Stroll still has held his own and even gotten a podium, which Perez still hasn't managed to do.
Fair enough. I'll give you that. Okay, let's move on. I think the next finisher was Kevin Magnussen. 1 lap of racing, I think, after the long, hot weekend that he spent, and that incident, I think, the very last corner with Albon. Did you agree with Albon's penalty? Anyone here, by the way?
Yes.
Okay.
Not in the slightest.
I
Yeah, I
think
would agree.
the penalty was deserved because he like took him out totally. So
I mean,
it was a racing incident, but there was one driver who came out higher than the other. So
Yeah, I would agree with Mara. I don't think the penalty was deserved at all. I was very surprised to see a penalty was given. From what I saw, I think Magnussen just went over a bump on the curbs, just completely went off the line, and the whole track pretty much was open in front of Albon.
Yeah, and Albon actually pulled completely alongside Magnussen. It's only because he knew the kind of driver Magnussen is and saw the door was shutting. he tried to back off, but he couldn't back off enough.
Can you overtake there? I'm asking this genuinely. Like,
Yeah.
should you be overtaking on that corner?
So
There's
I
like only one line, right?
you're not a racing driver if there's there's the track width is about 3 car lengths or 3 car widths of 3.5 car widths, but and you can overtake there. Given both drivers take a compromise line, you cannot take the racing line and drive side by side.
Okay, I think I meant should you overtake there for the
No,
safety
so I
of
think
the
the question
race
is not.
on the first lap?
Question is not. It's not should you overtake or can you overtake. The question is if you're a driver as Magnussen and you've gone completely off the line and bumped over a curb, then you can't just say, okay, I'm get out of the way. I'm going back on the racing line now, and expect that no one's there, especially when it's lap one. That's my
Fair
take on it.
I agree.
I agree too about that. But the penalty, I feel like, I feel it's more a racing incident. So yeah, we can move on.
Okay, not much more to add, I think, is what I'm getting. Daniel Kvyat, I think I felt quite sorry for him. He was having a fantastic race. I think he was 7 positions up. He was looking like he could be my driver of the day. Up until that point, he was looking very racy. Before he had the crash. I'm not exactly sure what happened. Does anyone know?
Yeah, go ahead, Anuj. I'm not.
I think something happened with his rear tires or something, like a suspension failure or I think a puncture.
Have
Yeah.
AlphaTauri actually come out incident report?
No,
No, they didn't confirm, but from what all analysts said, they said it's very hard to spin out on by touching the curb there. It was probably the right rear deflated as soon as he entered it, and that would have caused tank slapper.
But let's forget this is Danny Kvyat we're talking about. He's not the most competent driver on the grid.
Yes, understandable.
Yeah, so anyway, I was pretty happy he was out of the race. It's a safer grid without him. Given the fact that he really doesn't know how to go or overtake in a very safe manner. And he was looking racy, which is just makes it all the more dangerous. So I was happy that he went out. Whether it's his fault or the car's fault, I don't care.
How can you say that and also say that the race was more so uneventful and boring? And then say, oh, I'm happy that somebody who could have made the race more eventful was out.
I'd rather uneventful and boring than safe.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, but if, according to your theory, if Kvyat would have stayed, then the race would have been pretty much eventful, I guess, because of his driving style. His aggressive race.
Yes.
Exactly. It probably would have been a few more overtakes. I'm not saying a few overtakes would make an entire race interesting, but at the same time, Danny Kvyat is somebody I don't feel should be should be on the F1 grid, especially when people like Hulkenberg are missing out. So either way, whether it's a car issue or his, it's irrelevant. I'm just happy that the Grand Prix went on without him.
Okay, some strong opinions there.
Yeah, okay. I'm not going to agree, but fine. Let's leave it where it is.
You wanted
Roman,
some like the word. Anyway, carry on.
no, I'm just saying I'm not able to digest the fact that you say he would be dangerous in making moves when he had made 7 positions up more than anybody else.
Only
Yeah,
that.
Fairly cleanly.
That's
Player
pretty
hater.
mean, actually.
Player hater.
I'm a hater. I'm just a hater.
Yeah. Okay, let's move along. Kimi Raikkonen. Was he on the pace, firstly? I don't think so. Secondly, I don't really know what happened. Did he go over the curbs at the end? I think a few laps to go with a broken wing.
Everyone was imminent. He was on the pace. He was fighting Grosjean until the pit strategy ruined him. So
Dude, he wasn't fighting anyone. He was overtaken by both the Williams as well.
yeah, but that's towards the end. Before the safety car or something, he was up ahead. And during the pits, he was probably racing. The Haas was just only competition. So the Haas went on the mediums and the strategy ruined him, I guess. And then later on, he got the damage. And
No,
Williams.
Haas didn't go on to the mediums. Grosjean was on the mediums. He moved to the
Yeah,
hards.
he was on the medium. So he was Kimi was supposed to stay out, but he came in for the hards, and then the race was done there. He was complaining all race about the grip levels of the car.
Yep. But
No,
was it the car or was it the tires? Because I think one fundamental question we should be asking ourselves is was the Williams actually faster than the Alpha in that last race?
I think so.
Yes.
I think they've improved the race pace a lot this year, even the qualifying pace. Yeah,
I
and
mean,
probably the Alpha and Haas, they have that Ferrari engine, the controversial topic about how suddenly the Ferrari engine got slower. So yeah, so it's both Williams improving and Alpha and Haas, how do you say it, downgrading at the same time. So
Williams improved a lot in race pace, I would say, from the last race because they were still performing poorly in the race. This finish is quite good enough. Other than the first Austrian race, of course, where they had P11 on Latifi. But yeah, Kimi was running around with a broken wing towards the end, so I don't know how much that affected his race.
yeah, I'm not sure if it's the driver or the car. I mean, the car is not really fantastic, but again, Kimi seems to be. I think Giovinazzi is outperforming Kimi throughout the season so far.
Kimi's out qualified him. Race position, maybe just not. Qualifying is 2-1 or 3-1 in favor of Raikkonen.
it's
And
just a hobby for Kimi anyway. So
I was just
yes,
thinking,
just
yeah.
a
if
hobby.
he's if
That's
he's in
what.
a
That's
mood
what.
for a competitive race, he can go for it. If he's like feeling boring, he'll just not do it.
Exactly. That's what I was coming to. I don't like the car could be bad, but I think there is something in Kimi himself where, I mean, it's just not. He's just not putting it in.
That's what
Yep.
she said.
There are some rumors he's retiring at the end of the season. Probably that's a separate topic, but
Yeah, I don't see why he should be staying on the grid,
Yeah.
anyways, because he's like he's 40, I guess now.
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah,
41 this year.
40 in a slow car, which is fighting Williams at this point. So I don't see any point in him staying. Should rather give it to some coming up driver. The Renault Ferrari drivers in F2 are pretty nice this year.
Yep.
So
Oh, let's not forget Nico Hulkenberg. We just got off the topic of him.
no, but
Yeah.
Alpha would give it to a Ferrari driver instead of
Well,
Hulkenberg, and I don't see Hulkenberg coming to a non-competitive car back to F1.
highly likely. You're right. There are lots of good drivers coming up, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Slightly more eventful this one. Moving on to Romain Grosjean. I think the only person who had people's interest slightly maintained during the race was
Yeah.
Romain Grosjean. Firstly, do you think it was right for him to be shown the black and white flag? Let me just say I agree. It was warranted. What do you guys think?
After seeing the first incident, I was like, okay, maybe it was a coincidence. He is just not used to being swapped in the field. He didn't expect the cars to come so close, but then he repeated it non-stop. So I was like, okay, Grosjean is Grosjean. Can't change him.
I would say the first incident didn't deserve it. The second opinion did. Second incident did.
I think the first one also he deserved it because he was looking in in the mirrors and he saw that sign is coming. Yet he still moved it when around that breaking point or something. So
Yeah, I think
Very,
both
very
were deserved.
Very, very.
Although props to him, I think stretching his mediums for like over 35 laps. Yeah, I think he did a good job.
I was half
It's the
expecting
best he could have done.
I was half expecting him to do a mediums to soft strategy.
Yeah, even
Yeah, so was I.
I don't know why they put him on hards though. He could have actually gained some positions.
You're right. That doesn't really make sense. I mean, if you stretch the mediums out so much and then go onto the hards for the last 5-10 laps of the race.
Exactly, he was good in tire management while defending also. So I don't see the reason why they didn't put him on
Well,
softs.
I guess they were just hoping for a safety car because that's the gamble they took. Because either way, there was no points for them. Yep.
True. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I don't
maybe
think.
the Haas is not like fast enough to degrade the tires.
They can do better time management by just being slow, is what you say.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I think next one up is Giovinazzi. Very eventful again in the Alphas. I'm going to skip past him. I think he had quite a lonely race.
Just a battle
Not
with the
much.
Williams, but which he got past.
Correct.
And that's
Yeah.
good battle.
He also got a penalty for speeding while the safety car. So that's also irrelevant.
Of course. Yeah. Next up is P13 Carlos Sainz.
I did not expect him to be so far down the order. I'll be honest.
Yeah, he got unlucky. He was having a very good race, and then just that again the tire thing is very unlucky.
Yeah, certainly. Well, yeah, I McLaren's looked like I think probably the third fastest car yesterday
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
after the Red Bull and Mercedes. Um, they looked very racy and pretty solid in race conditions. I think, yeah. But overall, Sainz P30 not deserved.
But I think even Carlos Sainz was very much off the pace from Charles Leclerc in P4, I guess. Where was Carlos Sainz?
I'm going to
Like
put that down to
It was
driver
P4.
deficit. He was P4. He was P4, running about 4 seconds behind Charles.
no, that was yeah okay.
Yeah.
That was after Bottas got the puncher. He came P4.
Then
I
P5.
think he was never in competition with Charles anywhere in the race. He was always very much behind.
Grosjean is to thank for that train he created behind
Uh,
Leclerc.
we saw a good battle with Sainz at the start of the race, but after that things just kind of fizzled out. They just didn't have the um, o- overspeed to actually catch up in the dirty air. So yeah,
Yeah, I think both the Renaults and the McLarens did quite well. At the start, they were, I think, jostling for positions for the initial, I think, 5-10 laps or so, before things settled down. Even after the second safety car restart. Um, yeah, I think that was the only bit of racing that we saw.
Yeah, they ganged up on Ricardo and took the
Yeah,
positions. That was quite fun to watch around Love Field.
correct.
Around,
Oh yeah, how Norris, yeah, on the outside. Ricardo did come back though, but
yeah.
we'll come to him later. Um, I think next up we have is. Oh, by the way, I'm going to reserve my opinion on the likes of Bottas, Hamilton, and even Sainz for the end, under the banner of the whole tire fiasco.
Agreed.
Okay. So George Russell, amazing drive by him though, P12.
yep,
Always
uh,
outperforming his car. Yeah, Mara.
I agree. Russell is, I think, if you look at the three youngsters who I believe are world class, it's probably Verstappen, Leclerc, and Russell. Norris, I think,
Russell
yeah,
Russell
Norris.
is very underrated. I'm telling you, it's because of his car. He gets so much. What do you say? He doesn't get so much exposure because of his car. I feel he should have won the Rookie of the Year last year. Shouldn't have gone to Norris. Russell is very deserving.
I wholly agree.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, Valtteri Bottas. I don't really have much to say on him, but you guys feel free.
I think we'll save that for the end with the whole tire scenario. But
Okay.
as far as the race pace goes, he looked didn't look slower than Hamilton at all.
Yeah, I think the whole race he was around a second or max 2 seconds behind
Okay, so
Hamilton.
I have a reason for that, but again, I'll reserve it for later.
Now,
Um,
now drum roll.
Sebastian Vettel.
What do we say about this man anymore? I mean, I am a huge Sebastian Vettel fan. I'm for God's sake getting my cat after him.
Okay,
But
let's just clarify for all the viewers here that all four of us are massive Seb Vettel fans, which is
yeah,
why this is painful.
yeah, this is painful because you know that when he's got a car which he likes, you see the way he drives. You saw 2017 Seb, unmatched, there's something. But but I just don't think this car inspires confidence from him at all. He doesn't know how to set it up. Leclerc probably understands the car a little better than him this season, and I think that
Yeah.
just
The
uh,
thing with Leclerc is that you have to understand that Sebastian Vettel got a car in 2017, 2018, which was championship worthy. He was fighting in the front. And then suddenly in 2019, he gets a car which is not that much up to the mark. And whereas Leclerc is coming from a car which was low midfield and he goes to a car with in the top three. So, of course, how do you say, he'll understand the car better. If you
right.
put Hamilton now in a say McLaren, I don't think Hamilton will uh, be up to the pace with Norris, to be honest, because he's
I
going to a
disagree.
car which is like the top class, and he's going to McLaren, which is P4 something. So
Yes, I disagree. I think both Leclerc and Vettel are top class drivers, top level drivers, and um, given the fact that if even if you get Fernando Alonso driving for McLaren, any world champion, especially Vettel, who's a 4-time world champion, doesn't get there without understanding how a car behaves. And a huge step down is easier to handle than a huge step up. Because and at the end of the day, when Leclerc came into the team, Seb was still number one driver. Leclerc was told that you are going to have to sit back and watch and let us focus on Vettel this year. And in spite of that, in spite of giving all the resources of the team, or most of the resources of the team orders, he still wasn't able to beat Charles. And I think that shows that the current version of the Ferrari doesn't suit Seb Vettel at all. And Vettel has always been a driver who's not going to say car dependent, but the car needs to be in a certain way for him to drive well. When the car is that way, he's the best driver on the grid, unmatched.
Yeah.
But
I think the highest point for Vettel in this race was the last lap where he defended P10 from Bottas. Now, Mercedes on a fresher soft tires, I think that's something.
Yep. That's just my take on the entire situation. But just that.
No, I don't think anyone disagrees here. I'm not sure if there's an element of, I think he's sort of had enough of it with Ferrari, if that's playing a part. I don't know. But certainly
he's
the car.
He's in a very similar situation to Kimi. He just doesn't give a shit right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last lap thing between Vettel and Bottas, that he defended P10. Would you give it to Vettel for defending P10, or would you say that Bottas is just not that good of a driver? He just wins races because he's in a Mercedes.
No, I don't think Bottas had a half-hearted sort of attempt. He was fully committed to getting past Vettel, because that was the last point securing position, right? But I think Vettel did quite well, especially at the end of the Hanger Straight. They were almost side by side coming into the final sector.
Yeah, that's true.
I think he needs more confidence-inspiring moments so that he can get back to the groove. For now, nothing is inspiring confidence, so it's like downhill. Everything's going down.
Yeah, it's a circle. It can be.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have Lance Stroll. I was slightly disappointed with his drive, as I said earlier. I think I wasn't expecting a Racing Point to be P9.
I was more surprised that he struggled on his tires so much. He just didn't have the grip of the McLaren or the Renault, and we know on aero that car is better, probably.
Yeah.
But I think there was something wrong with the setup or something. I really don't know. I'm not a Formula 1 technical expert, but there was something wrong with his car, and he just didn't have the car under him. Apart from the fact he probably wasn't even driving particularly well as a person, because he did put in a good quality lap. He didn't put himself in a position to have a good race, and I think the entire weekend was one to forget for him.
So is this where we point out that Stroll is not that good of a driver in the end? Because in a track like Silverstone, I don't think it's a hard track to overtake, and surely the Racing Point was faster than McLaren's and Renault. So
I guess on softs they are faster, but when the tires hards came on, I guess that's where the experience showed of the other drivers, or the talent, I would say.
Yeah, he's certainly not as good a driver as a lot on the field, but yeah, I don't feel like I don't think we should write him off.
I feel we can't say anything about if the car was actually that decent. P6 he got in qualifying, but yeah, I don't know. Something could have been wrong with the car, the setup. We need Perez in the other car, like Mara said before, to have the comparison.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, fair point. Alex Albon, a bit of a recovery drive, finishing P8, I think. Yeah.
but he was still behind Gasly in an AlphaTauri. So
It's
Well, he just ran out of laps, didn't he? At the end.
yeah.
There's only so many people you can go past if you're starting at the back.
Yeah, given the fact he had a pretty torrid quality in terms of traffic. And also he didn't put a particularly good lap. In addition to that, he I think had that incident with Magnussen at the start. Finishing P8, I think, is not a bad result at all.
I disagree. He didn't have any incidents in quali. What would you say if there's no car issues or mechanical issues? How do you qualify P12 or whatever position he qualified in a Red Bull?
Then he had terrible quality. But given from where he started and to salvage P8 in the race. Not too bad, of course. I think Red Bull deserve better though. That's a talk.
Yeah, when your teammate is qualifying third P3, you certainly can't qualify P13. That's way too low.
And the car is obviously better, so if you give him enough amount of time, if it's 24 hours race, he'll probably be P3 or P4 again. But that does not mean that he did great. That's just my opinion.
If Red Bull put out a half decent car, I think they should really sign Vettel for next season because there's nothing stopping them from winning them to constructors.
That's all I hope for. I just want Albon to crash few times more and maybe kill some few people more, so he just gets the ticket. Marco boy comes in and be like, "Bye, bro."
I think if
Then
Albon does get the kick, it'll be Gasly who'll be replacing him. I really don't see Seb coming back to Red Bull.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that Seb's the best driver they can get
I mean, man can hope.
on pace.
He's going anyways to Aston Martin, so like might as well get him a Red
Yeah,
Bull seat.
I think some of us are being too harsh on Albon. I think he's a fantastic driver, and I think he did well, especially given the fact that you expected to match Verstappen with the more experience with that car. Remember, the car is built primarily around Verstappen, and Alex has had issues following on from the Hungary race where he was just completely uncomfortable with the car. Add to that the pressure of not matching Verstappen, then crashing in a free practice session. I think all of that sort of adds up. And affects.
If you compare this British GP, he wasn't even matching Gasly in an AlphaTauri. So
Yeah, let me reiterate. I think Albon is a great driver, but he doesn't deserve that second Red Bull seat. Like, not for the sake of how he's driving, but more because he can't help Max in any way during the race. Either to split the strategies or something like that. They need a more competent driver in that second car. I would say Perez should have gone there if there's no one there, but like he's probably keeping his seat now. So Vettel is the dream. Perez is the more logical option.
Yeah, I think Albon is a potentially a very good driver. Right now, he's just too inexperienced, and that lead causes him to not put a lap together in quali, but he can do well in the race. That's just my take on Albon. I think this week can emphasize that.
I think the primary point for me is the Red Bull themselves and not any driver. I think there is so much pressure on trying to match Verstappen, and the car is built around him, and they keep promoting people so quickly from Toro Rosso or Alpha Tauri, and give them 5-6 races, and they're relegated back. I think it's a very ruthless environment at Red Bull, which does not help. It's like as a new driver, Alex Albon, I don't even understand what sort of pressure he must be going through, because he has to prove himself in every session, and every time he doesn't, it's compounded once again. I think Red Bull need to work on the environment, I guess, in the team.
Yeah, I agree. This is entirely Red Bull's fault because, like, if they should probably find another. I think it's more to do with them finding a number two. That's why they're promoting junior drivers. They don't want to get another on par base driver with Max, because then again it'll create the rift which we're used to seeing between two number one drivers. So I guess it is like catch 22 either way. You can't get one thing.
Yep.
Okay. While we're at it, Pierre Gasly. I thought he was one of my 2 drivers of the day.
Yeah, he's mine for sure.
Phenomenal driver.
yeah, same.
The AlphaTauri and environment of the team suits him very well.
This guy's redemption arc is like amazing. Holy shit. I'm a fan. Honestly.
The way he was able to go wheel to wheel with Stroll in the final sector and then pull out the move on the pit straight at the end, it's like he didn't wait for the DRS to come in or anything. It's like I want to go for the move. It doesn't matter where I get the chance, and I'll just go for it.
Old school racing. Yep.
Yeah.
He also took Vettel on the whale chicane, so that's also non-DRS. So that's quite beautiful to watch.
Yeah, it's like he's constantly proving that, I'm the one you need to sign instead of Albon. You made a mistake or something.
Yep.
True. Blacksheep's analogy applies to Gasly actually. The compounded, the sessions, performance.
Yeah.
Actually destroyed his career sort of. Like, there's a good chance if they would have given him some more races, he probably would have showed well.
No, but I think that applies to every Red Bull driver in recent history, where one driver is so favored, the other feels that there's no attention being paid to them. And when they go back to the AlphaTauri team, where they don't have that pressure, they genuinely are able to perform at the level at which they want to perform at.
True. I agree.
Yep.
Okay, Esteban Ocon, P6. We're coming up to the top 5 now.
Decent drive. I'm going to keep it short. Decent drive. Lovely battle with Stroll throughout the race. Decent result. Nothing more to say.
Yeah. It seemed like he was just there, so and so. Yeah. There was a Renault up there fighting.
The Renaults looked very strong this weekend, so
Very, very stable in the race. You're right.
Correct. Yeah, looking forward to Alonso
Yeah.
Of
in
course.
that car.
Of course.
Okay, top 5 now. Lando Norris. I have to say, fantastic drive once again. Very consistent. Held his
Fantastic drive and overtake of the race. Let's not forget.
correct. Yes,
Yeah. Love field. Yeah.
although he was overtaken back later on.
And that was also a good overtake. Like, come on. That was a mad overtake by Ricardo.
Yep. Sorry, Blacksheep, you were saying about Lando.
No, that's it. I was just saying that he was. I think the one thing he did was keep up, as in defend his position, given the number of safety car restarts we had, and the fact that there was a DRS train with Grosjean in the mix. He held his head down. He kept his head down and just maintained, delivered what he had to deliver.
I feel
Yeah.
this year's Lando Norris is like very different from last year's Lando Norris.
Yeah, he's a lot more mature. I mean, he's still P3, P4 in the championship.
Yeah, I guess.
True. He's quite talented. He was performing quite well in 2019 also with the performances, barring his retirements. He showed some exceptional performances. Now he has a good car, so we're going to see more of him.
Yeah, now he's more consistent with his performances.
Okay, we're all in agreement. Nothing controversial here.
Mhm.
Next up is Daniel Ricciardo, who for me is my driver of the day. I think he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, agreed. The way he came back on the field, I think he was what, P7, P8 mid race
Yep,
or something.
correct.
And
Yeah,
he
P8,
took
P8.
everyone. He took everyone one by one. That's an amazing thing. Especially after he got bumped in out the safety car restart by the McLarens. That was a phenomenal drive. And his pass on Lando Norris, I think Norris only at the end of Stowe, I guess. That was amazing. He just
Yep.
sent it proper Ricardo style and he got it done. Especially the tires. The tires are quite old by then, right? I mean, that was a brave move.
Yeah, totally. I just can't wait to see him in a competitive car again. So certainly missing him in the top.
Yeah,
I
I think
give
a lot of respect between those two, Ricardo and Norris. They're friends off the track, and I think they respect each other on the track.
Future teammates.
Hopefully, yes. I mean, no, definitely. Yeah. Sorry.
well, they are.
I completely forgot about the McLaren news. Yes, yes. Of course, future teammates. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
next year.
Hopefully the McLaren Mercedes works. Like the Mercedes engine will bring a new mix. I'm looking forward to that.
Very much looking forward to that.
Because the chassis is brilliant. I mean, I can't believe it. Like,
Yep.
It's amazing.
So,
Okay, cool. We're in the top 3 now. Charles Leclerc, very sort of quiet and uneventful for him, I'd say, but he just did what he had to do, I guess. He held
I
it.
say he was just lucky. He's been
Yeah.
lucky both his both podiums.
Yeah, of course. I think that this Ferrari cannot be on the podium without luck. But at the same time, there's this one gentleman in our community. He's a diehard Max fan, and sorry, he's a heavy Max fan and a diehard Alonso fan. And he's been around the Formula One environment ecosystem for a while, watching it for many years now. And he said that Leclerc this season and last season is reminding him more and more of Alonso in the way that Leclerc is always there to take an opportunity the moment it presents itself. I'm actually really disappointed in this Ferrari partnership not giving the most out of not getting the most out of it, because these are both Seb and Leclerc are two top drivers. And I think even Helmut Marko about Charles's quali was just stunned. He said, "I do not know how Charles found that pace." And even Ferrari themselves did not expect Charles to be there. So yes, he was lucky, but do not forget he qualified in P4. He did not drop a position to any of the other drivers in the race. so that when Bottas had that failure, he was there to take it. On pace in the race, Ferrari were probably slower than McLaren, Renault, and Racing Point. I think the driver made the difference.
Wonderfully said. I like to add something. In racing, we all know consistency brings more points. So Leclerc has been consistent in his car control, staying in the race where he needs to be. So he was there to take the opportunity, like Mara said. So I'd say luck was there, but that's more of a PC statement. He deserved it because he was
Would you
consistent.
would you say Leclerc has been consistent because he's only had 2 points finishes this year?
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
got two podiums. So like that incidents happen with all the drivers, and he was it was first kind of. We know when he's far down the grid, something gets into his head, I guess, and he feels the need to make up positions early on in the laps, which might impede his race. But that'll slowly phase out the older he gets. So I feel that's a treasure. Like he's going to be the future of Formula One. Going to be the person who challenges Max further down the years.
Yep, absolutely. And that neatly brings us to Max himself. Again, great drive. I think everything we said about Charles was pretty much applicable to Max himself. He was just there, very, again, similarly uneventful race for him, pretty much by himself. But he was just there to pick up the pieces at the end. There has been a lot of debate about why Red Bull chose to pit him, which at that time I was just screaming out when I watched it live as to why they pit. And for a moment, I only made sense of it because I thought that both Bottas and Hamilton had punches, and so it made sense. And then I was quickly disappointed. But looking back at it, I think that was a good decision, because getting P2 and fastest lap versus the risk of not finishing at all, I'm sure anybody will make that choice, right? Or am I?
Yeah,
by
you need
myself here?
you need Kimi as a race engineer to make the the latter choice. Like just stay out, I guess. Protocols come in the way, and they obviously like it's Hamilton you're talking about. His tire management is always stellar, but from what I've heard from much smarter people than me, the cars are equal. So the tires were going to go sooner than later. But I don't think anyone expected Hamilton's tire to go out like that. So it was probably a safe bet to just pit because he had the pit on Charles. Pit and get the fastest lap because more points. It just seemed like more points at that time. It didn't at
Yep.
all come look in the part of the race win.
Yep. Anuj, Mara, anything to add?
I think this both for Verstappen. I think just one point on Verstappen is that he is along with Charles. I think the two fastest drivers on the grid right now. Some people may disagree. That's fine. It's okay. Everyone's open to their opinion. But Verstappen, I think I have never supported another driver as much in the last lap. Any non-Ferrari driver so much in the last lap. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
How boring does the race have to be for a driver to remind his race engineer to stay hydrated?
Exactly.
I'm just buying Kimi as a race engineer. Kimi, have you had the drink?
I was just about to say that Max, when he asked, reminded him to be hydrated. That's what he should have said. The drink is not connected.
Yep, agreed.
Okay, so I think this is what I had been reserving a lot of my opinions for: the two Mercs and the whole tire puncture. So a lot of things I've heard from you guys today. For example, firstly, that Bottas was able to keep up with Hamilton. I disagree. I think Hamilton is he still is that one step ahead of Bottas in terms of time management long term. If you guys remember, by sort of lap 40 or so, Bottas started to drop back immensely. I mean, Verstappen was able to close in on him by about half a second per lap, and the gap from Hamilton to him, which was roundabout between 1 and 2 seconds for most part of the race, suddenly went to about 8-9 seconds. So the consistency was on Hamilton's part, and that probably is also the reason why his tires were able to last slightly longer than Bottas's. I mean, in hindsight, I'm sure he'd be thinking, if I'd managed the tires slightly better and Hamilton had the puncher, I would have been there behind him to take the win. But that certainly is not what happened.
I just want to say one thing. I'm hugely disappointed in Lewis Hamilton, because he had one chance to say, Bono, my tires are gone, and actually mean it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Although, if you remember post race, in the interview, he did say that he was surprised because up until like even on the lap where the tire had the puncture, he thought that the car was performing just as well as it was previously. He didn't feel that there was a puncture, and he had to visually see the tire deflate to know that there was a puncture.
I mean, hard to meme in the car when you have shit in
yeah. This also makes you wonder how fast the Mercedes is to actually win on three tires.
Well,
Anuj,
Max did had his pit stop, so he was way far behind too.
so Anuj, you brought up something earlier which said the Haas doesn't have tire wear because it's too slow. I think the Mercedes has the opposite problem. It's got too
Yeah,
much
totally
tire wear
agree.
because it's too fast.
They're way beyond Pirelli's expectations on car
Exactly.
performance.
I completely agree with that. Yep. But I think coming down to the entire finishing why Hamilton won, Red Bull had two options. I'm not saying one is wrong, right and one is wrong. They had two options: either go for the safe bet, pit and get the fastest lap. They are not competing for the world title. They know that. Everyone knows that. Anyone with half a brain knows
Yeah.
that you are not beating Mercedes this year. So they have two options: gamble and stay out an extra lap, a lap or two, or pit and secure that P2. And in doing so, they handed Lewis Hamilton the race. I know that there's a high chance Max's tires could have gone, and anyone who says otherwise is stupid. Yes, Max's tires could have gone in the last two laps as well, but he was driving in clean air for a majority of the race.
Yeah.
Yes, he had his tires weren't in the best shape, but lifting into braking zones, things like that, reduce the load of your front left especially. So taking a wider line, lifting the braking zones, it may have lost him a second or so a lap, but it would still have got him that P1 when Hamilton's tires exploded. Because if you look at Hamilton and Bottas, the reason Bottas's tires went one lap for Hamilton's because he was driving in Hamilton's dirty air for a majority of the race. He was within 2 seconds of Hamilton for a majority of the race, and he didn't drop off until he chose to conserve his tires when he realized his tires were critical. So Blacksheep, that's where I disagree with you slightly. I believe Bottas had the edge on Hamilton. It's just the dirty air which kept him behind and didn't allow him to catch up. They were trading fastest laps throughout the race.
But I want to add on that, like he was always when the safety car started, Hamilton would just get away from Bottas within one lap of just he'll be out of DRS. So I'm in mixed. I'm on more on Black Sheep side. I don't think Bottas can match Hamilton yet on that level. I guess because
On safety car restart, Hamilton has always been good. Let's not take that away from him.
I feel Bottas has already like signed more than he's crossing Barrichello as the best number 2 driver because he just doesn't push behind him. He just lets him
Yeah.
go up, and then they
Yeah.
both drive their own race. So I hate that part. But I guess they just told him we would hire Russell instead of you if you want someone to compete with Hamilton. So do your job, and then he just does it. I don't know. So
Which again makes you wonder: is Bottas really that good of a driver? I certainly feel he's just winning because he's in a Mercedes. I don't feel he's that good.
So I don't hold the opinion that he isn't deserving of that seat. I think he's a supremely talented driver, and if it's his day, he can match Hamilton or even outperform him. He certainly is quicker than Hamilton on one lap pace, but
Yeah.
the edge to Hamilton is based on the fact that he's just so much more experienced in terms of understanding where his tires are and where he needs to push and where not. It's all well and good to say that they were exchanging fastest laps and Bottas did have the pace, but when things started to deteriorate, that difference was just telling how quickly Bottas just dropped. He was not able to keep the tires in there. He just no performance left.
Yep. I think Hamilton just has a better understanding. Like he's just more experienced, and that's when the high
Yeah.
pressure situations come in, like that final Q3 lap. You see Bottas nailing it very rarely, but Hamilton nailing it 90% of the time. Um, on pure pace, Bottas is faster, and that brings me to another. I don't want to get into whether Hamilton should even be a one-time world champion with that level of pace, but that's not even. I'm not going to get into
it's
that.
okay. It's okay. Breathe.
I'm not going to get into that. But at the same time, Bottas, I'm sorry, we never had any hope to win the world championship. In high pressure situations, he always shit the bed.
Monza 2019.
Brazil 2018. I know Seb drove the best race of his life. That Bahrain 2018 drive by Seb was one of the best drives I've ever seen in my life. Amazing drive. But Bottas not going for that move on the final lap,
Yep.
that made me lose my respect for the man as a racer. And I'm sorry, that kind of racer will never win the world championship, even if it's somebody as easy against Lewis Hamilton.
Well, there's too many instances like that. I mean, I think you forgot Brazil last year as well. I mean, his retirement bringing out the safety car and then giving us the race that we had. But it was him following, was it Albon, I think, lap after lap, and just within DRS, not able to keep up or overtake. Finally, engine is overheated.
Yeah. But I think coming back to this weekend as a whole, we have one question in the chat saying, for the next 70th anniversary Grand Prix, do you expect drivers to go for a one-stop or a two-stop race?
It's a two-stop, no brainer.
Yeah, because the tire compounds are softer now, isn't it? So they're one step down. Is it one step down or one step up? One step up is softer.
One step
Yes.
Down.
Yeah.
Down.
Okay, whatever it is, I'm sure people
This is
understand.
a softer compound.
It's a softer compound. So and given the fact that the primary event of the race this time around was tire performance, tire life, and punctures, etc., I think people will opt for. I'm pretty sure, like, somebody in a Haas will go, okay, everybody's expected to go a two-stop. Let's leave Grosjean out at front and have the same DRS train once again. Something like mediums to hard or something. But
yeah, I think it's a one-stop. It's always been a one-stop. The safety car kind of skewed things a bit. People on that's why people starting on the softs were compromised. So people starting on the softs were compromised, but the mediums could not actually show their pace. It's a one-stop on the mediums to hards. But if you stop on the soft compound, if you start on the soft compound, then it's probably going to be a two-stopper for you.
Yeah, I think a medium to hard one-stop can still be done, even if the tires are softer. This race, we didn't see that because everybody had to pit way earlier. I think before lap 15, you'd expect to stretch out your mediums up until at least lap 20 or so.
Yep.
Okay.
Lap 25.
Go on, BabaG.
I don't have much to say. I was more thinking about the likes of, like, how does the tire compound affect different cars? Like, why my question was still I'm stuck out as in how the Racing Point performed so poorly in Silverstone, even though they have better aero kit.
Yeah, with Racing Point, it's hard to say because we didn't really have Perez. We didn't have that teammate to teammate comparison. And if both of them had the same issues, then we could have probably more confidently been able to say that, okay, it's probably down to the car. Something was just not right on the race day.
He couldn't probably handle the hards, I guess, not experienced yet.
Yeah. Okay, a few more questions from the chat. Next one I've got is, do you think Seb will retire if he does not get a seat next year? Isn't the answer in the question? If he doesn't get a seat, then he's out, isn't he? I mean, he might come back, but that is retirement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or I guess what he's asking is, will he take permanent retirement from Formula One, which I don't think he will. I mean, he's still got things to prove, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's just 33 now, so
yeah, he's got to be around.
Yeah, and I doubt he's going to retire or he won't get a seat. He's obviously going to get a seat somewhere.
Well, that's exactly what the next question is. Why haven't Aston Martin signed Vettel yet? Because Aston Martin isn't a team yet, I guess, officially.
Yeah, Stroll already owns 50% of Aston Martin, so
it's 17%, man. Where are you
Oh,
getting
sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
I feel even if they have signed Vettel, they won't make it public. Because even I think in 2014, when Seb made the Ferrari move, it wasn't made public for quite a lot of time. So,
But that's my issue with Alpha also, regarding that they are announcing the driver lineups like way back for the 2021 season. I don't know what Alpha is waiting for and what Racing Point are waiting for. And the Red Bull also need to confirm their second driver for the next year. So this all should come in quite soon, because it might be unprofessional in some sorts.
I'm not sure. I mean, we're only 4 races in. I mean, yes, it's August, but we're still very, very early in the race calendar. you wouldn't expect 4 races in for people to start signing up for the next year.
But yeah, Ricardo, Sainz, and all, so they have done it. So I thought they would follow.
Well, they have done it
their line.
because Vettel's departure has been announced, and that's confirmed. Fair enough.
So it was more reactionary. Okay.
Correct. Obviously, of course. Okay, I think last question we have, unless Mara has something to add to that.
Yeah, I just think they're waiting for Perez to be to figure out a way to buy Perez out of his contract.
Right.
Something like that. That's my only point on this. After that, I think the Vettel announcement is imminent.
Correct. Okay, I think the last question we have is: will Racing Point be able to beat McLaren this year?
Is it this year or the next race? Or in Silverstone again?
I'm not sure. Let's explore both avenues.
Yeah.
Will they beat McLaren next race? Hulkenberg hopefully is back and able to start the car. And if they do, or even if they don't, will they beat them overall in the championship?
I think the championship they'll eventually catch up to them and beat them in the championship.
Sorry, you mean Racing Point will beat McLaren?
Yeah. Racing Point will catch up to McLaren and beat them.
Okay, interesting.
I feel Racing Point also, like Racing Point has like a string of mediocre results, but they'll show up in the latter part of the season and probably take the cake, being with Mercedes 2.0.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think especially after Perez returns, which he hopefully does after his recovery, they need to have 2 consistent drivers, and at the moment they have 0.
Okay.
Okay, I think that just about wraps up, unless again Mara has something to say on that.
No, nothing to add. I think they'll catch up as well.
Fantastic. Okay, so that's been our podcast where we sort of tried to take the piss out of the British Grand Prix. I'm not sure how well we did, but hope everybody enjoyed it. We'll be back once again with the live Paddock Piss next time around after the 70th anniversary Grand Prix. Take care, everybody, and bye-bye.
For watching.